right, so Nigeria beating Angola by a 0-0. Ademola Lookman, that's his what, third goal of the competition?
Yes.
Third goal of the competition. The ex-Fulham player now plays his football in Italy for Atalanta, guiding the Super Eagles to their semi-final. So Nigerians are on course. They say they want to equal Ghana's haul of 4, and they are on course. 1 or 2 more wins, and then they'll be 4-time African champions, tied with Ghana. You can imagine the unimaginable levels of banter that will be unleashed on the internet should Nigeria win their 4th. I know lots of Ghanaians are praying against it. But as for us here, we are only doing our work. Whether they win or lose, well, we'll talk about that. Anyway, guys, thoughts on this one? Kwame, let me start off with you.
I already told you how I feel about Nigeria. I told you I'm not looking forward to Nigeria qualifying. In fact, we saw from the game, they've had a formula working for them. Jose Pizarro has found a way. He's found a tactical approach. They are not flamboyant. They are just efficient. I mean, trying to get the job done based on the setup that they've got. Like we've discussed throughout this AFCON Daily Show, when you look at the Nigerian side, they are top-heavy, meaning they have a very good attack. Mm-hmm. However, they've compensated that with a lot more balance between the midfield and the attack. That's why after the first game, of which they didn't look too bad, they moved from the 4-3-3 formation that they were playing to a 3-back system just to get Ola Aina and then the left back or the left wing back in there to be able to, create a lot more opportunities. How they just arrange themselves on the pitch. Mm-hmm. It's like Australia. They play very narrow with the wing backs stretching defense. See the goal that Moses Simon scored, Ademola Lookman scored. See how Moses Simon, very narrow from the half space, was able to, get his way around. And then I just don't understand the defending Angolans did with that. It was like, yes, Osimhen is the big man. He's the target man that everybody looks at. Okay. If you watch how...
I'm sure Edwin will highlight
that. And you could see about 4 or 5 players all moving into the 16-yard box, creating a lot more space for Ademola Lookman to just, get into that space. The cutback from Moses Simon there, and that's it. That's smart footballing. And you could see a lot of these instances from the Nigerians where they create that kind of chance or that kind of opportunity. So it's been smart or efficient football from Nigeria, not flamboyant. There is a job to be done. You look at the Nigerian team, they considered just 1 goal in the whole of the tournament.
Wow. From group stage.
Just 1 goal. And that was the first game against Equatorial Guinea. And that's championship stuff. Being efficient, it's either they win or they are beating you by a goal, or a goal by 2 goals, and then they just get the job done. I've said it before. You just need to score 1 more than the other team in a game, in a tournament game, to win a match. And that's exactly what Jose Pizarro is doing with Nigeria.
Edwin, it's a very interesting point Kwame has raised about Jose Pizarro, a man who was not liked. He's come under a lot of pressure, but out of nowhere, he's managed to guide this team to a semi-final. And I've seen some Nigerians beginning to revise their notes and say that he's not as bad as they thought he was when he took over.
Look, what he's done is he's transformed Nigeria into a very efficient team, as Kamina said. It's not easy to see when you're a Nigerian fan, maybe, to see a team that's filled with such attacking talent being so pragmatic. It's not the nicest football. It's not the easiest football on the eye, but it is very efficient. They go from game to game. Everybody does their work. Nobody overdoes it. Everybody sticks to their roles. They help each other out. And that is how you are going to win tournaments. That is how it is in knockout football. Everyone plays as a team. Everyone knows their roles and they play to their roles. And we've seen that several times from Nigeria in this tournament. They've been very, very solid all the way from the front to the defense. And I think it starts right from the front, right from Osimhen, Lookman, Moses, whoever plays in that front 3. The pressing from that front 3 is exceptional, especially from Osimhen, who seems to have an extra tank of gas in him anytime he needs to. And when you see your front line pressing so well, pressing so high and pressing so efficiently. It just spreads throughout the team. The midfield does it, the defense also does it. And we talk about Nigeria having a very good front line.
Yeah.
To compensate for that, the defenders who may not be the biggest names, they may not be the most recognizable names, they are working really, really hard to cover up for any mistakes that any of them make. And it's making breaking through their ranks very, very difficult for any team that they face at the tournament. Equatorial Guinea had one moment where they got through the Nigerian defense, they took their chance. Angola had a couple of moments where they broke through the defense, got their chance, but failed to take it. When teams face Nigeria, making chances or creating chances has become very, very difficult. So it's up to them to take the few that they do create. If they don't, then it puts Nigeria in a very advantageous position to get the win, because they know that they have the superior offensive players. Osimhen might not be scoring as many expect, but Lookman is covering up for that with his movement, with his ability to run into space, with how fast he is to run in beyond defenders. And it's the same with Moses Simon. There are two players who are willing to make the runs if Osimhen has to drop deep to hold on to the ball and bring people into play. That attack is working in tandem. We might not see the goals, but we are seeing lots of chances that they are creating. One was ruled out for offside. Yeah. I think Osimhen's header was ruled out for offside. Yeah. We saw that counter-attack late in the game where Osimhen again was denied by a block from Gaspar. So the chances are coming for this Nigerian team. They are not just sitting back and waiting for teams to defend. When they go into games, they map out a strategy to face any team. Angola came into this game with a set strategy to sit back, allow Nigeria to have the ball as much as possible, and try and counter whenever they have the chance. Nigeria also, knowing that they have quick, pacey players, they passed the ball out quickly whenever they needed to. They didn't dwell on it for too long when they didn't have to. The passes were one touch, two touch, straight up to the attackers as quickly as they could, because they recognize that in terms of pace, in terms of strength, they have the beating of that Angolan team. And time and again, they got into positions where they could cause trouble. They just need to overcome a certain, can I say, deficiency or problem that they have in terms of the final pass. Sometimes the final pass isn't there. It doesn't come when it needs to. The build-up play is really good, but then the final pass or the decision to take the shots isn't there. But I think throughout the tournament, they've proven that they've been a very efficient team. And any team that comes up against them has to get past not just the defense, but the walls that they've put in front of them in midfield and also in attack. And I saw a report of a supercomputer predicting Nigeria would win the competition. Yeah. Based on what I've seen and based on the teams that are left in the competition, I don't need a supercomputer to tell me that. I think Nigeria have been the most effective team in the competition. And they have the quality that they need if they need players to turn to. Quality on the bench, quality on the pitch. Yeah. If they need to come up with some maybe individual brilliance, if they need some of that spark that other teams have. And I think they're the whole package of the teams remaining in the competition, they seem as though they have everything put together. The coach, as you said, he's starting to turn minds about what he does with this Nigerian team. People are still upset that they aren't seeing the football that this team is capable of. But you don't need to see that kind of football consistently in a knockout competition. You only need to do what it takes to win the game that has been put ahead of you. And I think they've done so well in that respect so far.
All right, the Nigerians doing really, really well, winning that game by a 0-0. We'll get to the touchpad. I think, Adam, you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, there are a couple of things I want to highlight. So I'll go up there.
We'll get into the touchpad. But yes, I think first off we'll highlight the Nigerian goal. Yeah, first off. Okay. All right. Then we can talk about Angola and what didn't work for them.
Yes,
because some people were seriously hoping that the Angolans would do a number on Nigeria.
Look, on the face of it, Angola had enough to be boot to boot with Nigeria. They had enough players, enough quality on the pitch. What hurt them was a few defensive errors leading up to the goal for Nigeria.
Okay.
And we take a look at it right from here. I'll slow it down so everyone can get a good look at what's going on. So right from here, Moses Simon takes the ball. There's absolutely no danger at this point. Fine, he has space, but the defender is well ahead of him. So it would take a lot of effort to get past him in this situation. What the defender has to do is hold his position. Hold his position. Keep Moses Simon from getting anywhere near the goal. And he makes the crucial error of jumping in with the tackle. This is Gaspar, by the way. He makes a crucial error, allows Moses Simon to get around him. And when he does that, it creates so many opportunities for Nigeria. First, Osimhen is in the box. We'll get to Lookman in a bit, but take a look at Osimhen and two defenders around him. This is why having star players and players who are very proficient in their roles in your team is very important. Osimhen draws a lot of attention because of what everyone knows he can do. And once he does that, everyone's attention is on him. Take a look at Lookman, who is right here. Out of shots, there's no way he should be getting to this ball because ordinarily he should have a marker on him right here.
Okay.
This defender should have him covered. What he should be doing is running across, keeping up with Ademola Lookman in order to prevent him from getting a good run in on goal. But he fails in this responsibility because his attention is on Osimhen and not on Lookman, not on a player he should be focusing on. So he's running and he sees Lookman's run very, very late. And once that happens, Lookman has the space, so much space to deal with, so much space that the defender can't manage to cover. He gets on the ball, first time shot, and it's in the back of the net. So very, very, so many defensive errors from the Angolans. Their players not...
First, Gaspar's decision
to jump in with a tackle. These two defenders not keeping an eye on anyone except Osimhen. And then our defender right here allowing Lookman a clean run into the box to take the shot. So Angola made it tough for themselves with this defensive effort. And with Nigeria getting only one goal, this is what cost them the game eventually. So they'll have themselves to blame for that.
Interesting. Kwame, this was a 40th minute in the first half. So effectively, Angola had one whole half to see how they could get back. But they never seemed to find the highs of the previous games. It was almost as though once they conceded first, there they were. They couldn't fight back.
Interestingly, this is the only game Angola didn't score. And they came up against a team that doesn't concede in the tournament, has conceded just one goal in the tournament. So what they needed to do was not to commit that error that led to goal. I mean, that's a very perfect analysis. I mean, the player that was running with...
Gaspar.
Aside Gaspar, the one that failed to track the run of Lookman. I mean, just look at the eye. The player, they were all looking at Osimhen. And it got to the one that was supposed to even be with Osimhen also had the eye on the ball rather than trying to mark the space very well. So you look at their approach, I mean, to the game and everything. They had a perfect approach, especially in the second half where they felt that, okay, we are one down. What do we have to lose? We just have to get in. And you could see in the second half, they had about 65% of the possession. They tried everything, but you are coming up against a very efficient team that has showed you, I mean, you could see the heart of Calvin Bassey, Sami Ajayi, Trostekong.
Yeah.
I mean, they've marshaled the back. Like Kwakufi said, maybe these are players that are not, but these are a guy who played for Fulham.
Calvin Bassey's with
Fulham. Bassey has played for Ajax, has played for Rangers. I mean, they've seen it all. Trostekong has been in a Premier League with Watford for a very long time. So these are players that know and exactly understand what it means. They've gone through all the training, and these are not players that were trained in Nigeria. They've gone through all the, so they really understand what it means to, you know, stay together as a close-knit unit. Before you even breach that midfield, it becomes very difficult for you. So they tried their best. There was a point where they got a ball and they had to play and hit the post. That was the only opportunity that they had, or they could sniff. And I think there was one ball that hits the post and all of that. So it became very difficult for them. So you are coming up against a team that has been super efficient at the back. Well, it becomes very difficult. No matter how many goals you scored, this is a team that has been well drilled so far in the tournament.
I see. Edwin, you wanted to highlight something else?
Look, yes, so Angola's defensive deficiencies affected them. But in the second half, they were on top, 65% of possession. They had their moments, and they had one really good chance that probably should have been taken. And this is what I want to highlight here. So we slow it down again. This is show for Angola and midfield. He plays the ball through to Zine.
Yeah.
And over here, I'd like us to take a look at it. Last week, we had a huge discussion over Magopa and South Africa's goal against Morocco, and whether the goalkeeper could have done better.
Yes.
Whether the striker should have taken a touch. What happened in that situation? I think this is a similar situation. Over here, goalkeeper does not come out in this situation. So much space for the striker to run into, for Zine to run into. Yet, what does he do? He decides to take the shot very early for some reason from this range. This is a very poor decision from him. He could have taken another touch, got closer to goal. There were a couple of options open to him. He takes the shot and it hits the post right here. A chance missed for Angola. I'd like to take it back and let's see the options he had with him. If he takes another touch, he gets closer to the goal opens up, he has better options to shoot and get the goal against the goalkeeper, who is staying pretty still. He's not moving forward. So you have a chance to take a shot or touch and move forward closer to goal and take the shot. If you are taking the shot, he has a teammate running in on goal that he can square to for him to get the tap in. So a touch would have opened up a couple of opportunities for Zine. He decided to go for the early shots, which if you are a talented player, if you can find the angle, well done to you. But getting it around the goalkeeper's dive,
he couldn't do a Mabululu.
He couldn't do a Mabululu.
Exactly.
Yes, a few players can do it. He obviously tried to. He couldn't end up getting it around the goalkeeper's dive and into the near post.
It will be interesting. I mean, if for example, if I were an Angolan journalist, I'd like to ask him that at that point where he gets the pass, what's he thinking? Does he feel rushed to make? Because I watched the sequence, and in my mind, I think he feels rushed that I need to take it very quickly because maybe I'm getting closed down by.
You know, that's where experience comes in. I mean, at such a major tournament with a lot of pressure, we are down. We need to get the goal quickly. So the player is probably thinking, let me just make that decision. And all of. Upon reflection, I'm sure maybe in the next tournament that they will come, he will be like, okay, I made this error in such a game and I'll probably correct it. But at this stage, you don't have many of these chances to make such an error. It's just like that. You have to take such decisions within a split second. And I'm sure it was the pressure, the anxiety to get back into the game quickly, and that's what led to him making such a decision.
Well, so an unfortunate chance that could have put Angola back into the game, giving them a chance to qualify.
I don't know whether, because I'm looking at, again, from this angle.
Just took a first touch.
From this
he took one
touch, that's it.
Yeah, one touch.
That was it.
You can't do that. You take another touch, give yourself a better chance to compose yourself before taking the shot. He doesn't do that, takes it very early, which means he had the whole of the goalkeeper's dive to get around. The goalkeeper has more time to put himself on the ground and make a possible save.
I even think trying to give the ball a little elevation maybe would have helped. But of course, all comes from being a bit more comfortable. So the extra touch,
a bit more composed on the ball. if you are closer, the goalkeeper has less time to get on the ground. So you have less surface area of the goalkeeper to hit when you are taking the shots. And he didn't factor that in. As I said right before, if he had taken a touch, it allows his teammate, who is escaping the attention of our left back, by the way. He's escaping the attention, so he has a good chance to make a good run, darting run into, you take a touch, you allow him some time, and the pass is made, and he gets a chance to tap it home. It didn't happen for Angola, and they missed their chance. Defensive errors in front of goal, and Nigeria go through. Decisions.
The Angolans could not take the best one on the day. As we wrap it up, guys, you've seen the Angolan adventure. Kwame and Edwin, I'll ask you the same question. How do you think they will evaluate this? Would they see this as an opportunity missed to maybe make the last four and whatever happens, happens?
I mean, the last time they got to this stage was in 2010 when they hosted. Yes. I'm not too clear, but I think their coach has either
according
resigned,
to some reports,
he's walked away. And that's an opportunity missed, because what we saw Angola provide to us in the tournament was a very, very well-drilled Angolan side, free-flowing football. They knew, they had a purpose. It's a team that was also built on the Petro Luanda squad. So what was going through my mind now is should it be that the coach has resigned? How's continuity going to be like? So you don't miss such opportunities. It's a window for you. That's how sometimes these tournaments are. The next year when we go into Morocco, other teams or other countries would have strengthened or would have corrected a few things, and you wouldn't have that opportunity. So you don't always think that at the tournament level or in tournament football, you would always have time to be able to, when such a window opens, you need to get into it. I feel it's a missed opportunity for them.
Same question.
I agree to an extent. I feel that it is a missed opportunity, given that the heavyweights, a lot of them have left the competition. Nigeria, who are the ones left, once you beat them, you put yourself in a very good position of winning the AFCON. They couldn't do that. And for a team that has played the kind of football that they did previously, you would have expected more from them in this game against Nigeria. But then again, they finished top of a group that included Algeria and Burkina Faso. That's no mean feat. Nobody expected them to even qualify from the group as one of the top two. So to do that and then put themselves in a position where teams are starting to look at them as potential dark horses, and the kind of play they showed, the players who've stepped up, Gelson Dala, Freddie, Gilberto, Mabululu, who scored probably one of the goals of the tournament so far. I think that they've put themselves in good lights. They've done well from themselves. It's unfortunate they couldn't go further in the competition, but you can't understate how good they've been at this tournament.
All right, we'll see what happens to the Angolans when the next AFCON rolls around in 2025 in Morocco. I'm sure the Moroccans themselves are thinking about that AFCON, and they are hoping that it will work well than all that they've missed out on since 1976. Let's move on to the other game on our menu. Is DRC versus Guinea. A game that I told some of my guests last week that this game would degenerate into sheer chaos. People did not believe me. Well, it turned out DRC won that game by 3-1. Everybody thought it was going to be a boring encounter. Well, it was anything but boring. Let's see the highlights.